Now, how do I add people again? Oops, daisy. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm doing a live with Coach Kramer at 3 p.m. So I've just invited her to join this Instagram live. And we're going to chat everything coaching, everything neurodivergent. Oh,
Hey!
yes! I did it!
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, totally.
I'm really excited about
This is
this.
so
We're doing
fun.
a live.
This is my
I am.
my first Instagram live ever.
Is it? Oh my God, I get to be your first. I love that. I feel so special now.
So good.
Oh, how's everything at your end today?
It's not bad. It's actually weirdly warm here in Rotterdam. It's kind of clammy, but apart from that, I'm good.
It was really sunny here too. Like it's wildly sunny. It's beautiful. There we go.
And I spend
It's
the
great.
morning in a bookstore. So, I mean, what's not to like?
Oh, that is how to do a day. That is how to do a day. I
100%.
like that a lot. I'm really excited for this because I thought, like, I sent you a message. I thought, let's do this. Let's talk
Yes,
coaching, neurodiversity, your new membership. You have to tell me about your new membership. I don't know anything about it yet, so but you're going to tell me about it
I
and
will.
just all cool things that you've got going on. So let's start coaching because obviously I think that's the
Yes.
bit that we know each other. You're my coach. I mean, what
So
about
fun.
that, right?
Right.
It's fun,
Totally.
isn't it?
And I love what you wrote that every coach needs a coach. Um,
Absolutely.
right? We can't sort of see what we cannot see. We can't see all the invisible obstacles in our brain, in our thoughts, and we need a pair of other eyes on that. However, whatever level we're at, I'm a master coach, and I still need other people to show me, like, you really don't see this thing. It's very humbling, for sure.
We get stuck in our own
Yes.
perspective, right? And I think the more data you gather, I think maybe the smarter you are, that perspective feels really real because you're able to pattern spot. And to some degree, it is quite real. And you do need another mind to help work you through that.
Absolutely. And there's actually a book, it's still on my to read pile, about how stupid intelligent people are in some aspects, how easy it is to dupe them, especially because they're so smart, right? So being smart doesn't mean you get everything right, if only,
No,
sadly.
and
Yeah.
you think that's the other bit about being smart, right? Or being neurodivergent. This is sometimes you have a really spiky profile.
Yes.
So you have really like epic strengths. And then some bits that you're like, you know what, actually this is not my wheelhouse. I
100%. And it's good to know what you know and what you absolutely suck at. Right. So, for example, I cannot be trusted with like facts, as in, it doesn't mean I lie. I don't, I can't, I don't think I can even lie, but I just exaggerate all the time. That's how I experience the world. So I'm like, I'll say, like, oh, wow, he's like, he's making millions when someone is making maybe thousands. So my family now know they need to divide everything by 1,000, everything I say, because it's just my temperament. Kind
so
of.
you like a bit of hyperbole. I love that too, but it's not a lie to you, so therefore you stating the truth. I always find lies or like new information that's incorrect is really bad
Yeah.
for my mind because I find it hard to deprogram something that I've now put into my wheelhouse. It's like it's in the
Yes.
framework. It's not coming out. It's
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah. You have to be really careful what you let into your brain, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's a
I don't know
whole
if
other
that's a
topic.
specific neurodivergent thing or it's just
I'm
a
not
me thing.
sure. I do think that very many neurodivergent people I know, and it's the same for me, are very sensitive, for example, to some like horror scenes and things like that. I cannot really watch a lot of violence unless it's so like ridiculously fake, then it becomes funny, like pastiche. But I
Yeah.
can't watch like super scary, even like the Tudors, the series. It
Oh,
gave
I
me
love the Tudors.
such bad nightmares. I had to actually stop watching it. It just did something inside my brain. Yeah.
I think everyone has a thing. Like if I watch things with the supernatural in it, and I really like the esoteric, but there's a limit to how esoteric something can be. Otherwise, that's it. I am going to
Yeah.
be like not sleeping for weeks on end. So it's about knowing that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's quite
I mean, The
interesting.
Shining, I mean, seriously, bloody
Should I
hell.
say your number one hated thing?
What is my number one hated thing?
American Psycho.
Oh my God. That book. It's not even, I don't even hate, I cannot. It just kills me. Yeah. I can't. it's so, and I think that's because my imagination is so vivid. And I think when we look at autism, for a lot of people who are autistic, the world is like in HD, right?
Mm.
Everything is so much more intense and so much more detailed. And the same goes for graphic violence. So
Mm.
no, no, I cannot. Yeah.
Let's talk
I,
a bit more about that, because obviously you're my coach, but tell me about, for everyone, obviously we're going to put this online. What do they want to know about you, how you got into coaching?
how I got into coaching was actually, I never wanted to be a coach, but it was about me discovering I was autistic and then finding coaching and learning that it was so much easier to lead my life than I thought it would be. Right. I had an amazing business. I had an amazing job teaching people, but I was exhausted all the time. And I was doing what I loved. I was like, what is, something is not right. Right. It should feel amazing, maybe not all the time, but I should not be as drained as I am. And then I found coaching. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Let's get better at this, as smart people do, right? We, want to get amazing at something. And of course, I signed up for coach certification, started it. And then I started working with super smart people. I thought, okay, I need to practice. I'll send an email to Mensa. Who wants coaching? I need some people to practice on. And I started working with people in Mensa. And I was like, oh my God, there is so much unnecessary suffering among smart
Mm.
people because everybody thinks, oh, you can sort your life out, right? You're so smart, if only. So then
Yeah, because you have that blind spot,
yes,
don't you?
totally. And then I decided to become a coach. I was like, we're not having this. Like all this potential, all these crazy smart people who are just maybe operating at 30, 50, even if it's 70% of what they're capable of.
Yeah.
It's such a massive waste for them and for the world. So that's what I'm fixing.
I love that. I love that because actually I'm obsessed with that myself. Like, but I think a lot of people who are neurodiverse, we want to like get more efficient, more productive, more output. Like, how can we like tessellate everything so it works better and
Yes,
we get more out of the potential? So that's really great. That's what I love about having you as my coach, and that's what I love about coaching other people. But your
totally.
journey to coaching is quite interesting. It's like you've got a degree in philosophy from
Yes.
kids. And I don't know, did I read that you used to study maths? Because I didn't even know this.
I did study maths at university for 2 years, but then I gave up. It was like it became too much. I can do statistics and what else? Yeah, there's a couple of topics I just couldn't, they did my head in. But I did study math. I finished philosophy at King's, which by the way is insanely useful if you want to become a coach, because coaching is all about asking great questions and not believing anything that other people think is a given, because otherwise how can you really blow someone else's mind? So I find it strangely useful as a sort of precursor to becoming a coach. Yeah,
I
I wouldn't recommend everybody
literally
run out and do a philosophy degree.
go to do philosophy
it's kind
degree
of it's kind
now.
of hardcore, but no, seriously. Yeah, and of course you have Socratic conversations, right? Which is similar, and it's also a coaching
Yeah.
technique. But I think many people, like when I think back about coaching certification, I would just sit there and be practicing with someone in class, and they would say something, and I would just sit there and honestly, like not just as a technique, but being like, is that even true? And just such a simple question can blow someone's mind, because people think that all the stuff they believe, all the stories they've bought into and fed into for years and years and years, they're 100% sure they're true, right? Like this person is evil, or they're a jerk, or whatever, right? Everybody's out to get me, or I'll never be capable of this thing. And once you sort of pierce through that, it's the most amazing thing. I mean, it's what I love most about my work. You see this light bulb moment and they're like,
Like
fuck. This
when you
isn't
scale
even true.
forth from someone's eyes, they can see.
Yeah.
Because I guess it is your reality, but it isn't the reality when you have these filters that are
Yes.
just so rigid
Yeah.
and you don't question them. So
Exactly.
everything's a given.
So like filter, right? We all have these filters. I didn't
Yeah.
even bring this as a prop, but
Oh,
it's perfect.
like, oh, that's smooth. That's
So we
smooth.
have these
Coach Kramer
filters,
came with props.
and we always have a filter, right? We can't
Yeah.
access reality directly. We could talk about that for hours, but that's philosophy, not coaching. It's super fun if you're a total geek. Happy to do that some other time. But basically, you want to replace your, the lens that colors, that filters the way you see the world, if it's currently not serving you. right? If you're like,
Mm.
I love the way I look at the world and it's serving me and I'm doing all the things I want to do, by all means, keep on those tinted glasses, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like, yeah, no, I'm not doing the things I want to do. I don't have enough energy, etc., then
Yeah.
you want to change the lenses for sure.
That's really interesting. I like the fact that you talk about energy quite a lot, because I think one of the things that I always notice, specifically with autistic women, is that because of masking, you can pretty much do everything. It's like that smart person,
Yes.
track and fall. You can do everything. You can do the difficult thing. You can make eye contact. You can communicate in a way that isn't natural for you. You can watch other people's behavior and model it and just pretend that it comes intuitively to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
right? You can
Totally.
do that. But was that energetic cost? It's like you finish a thing and you're like, I'm done, I'm depleted. And it's like, how do you navigate that, to be fair?
I
To be
love that
honest
you're
with
asking
yourself.
this because I actually, like half an hour ago, I posted a mini podcast on energy management being the missing piece in like all the getting things done, the planning, the scheduling. People are like, okay, let's schedule, let's get things done, let's map out the calendar. And they totally forget about like having energy as like the essential precursor to being able to do anything. So if you
Yeah.
can't manage your energy, what the hell can you do? Right? If you can have a calendar and say, oh, it's great. I have like 4 hours off in the evening. Yeah, but I can't get off the couch. Now what? Right? So you need to manage your energy, especially if you're autistic.
Yeah.
And there's many ways of doing this. Of course, like not having to mask all the time is very helpful. And that depends on your circumstance and is it safe for
Yeah.
you to unmask at work, all the things. But also I think when you're very smart, you tend to disconnect from your body a lot. And that's where
Mm.
you can forget even about having a body and that it also needs some TLC and that you need to
Mm.
rest and that you need to ground and that you need to move in whichever way feels good to you, right?
Mm.
Whether that's dancing, going for a walk, etc., etc. And also, I'm a massive proponent of napping, right? Resting.
Napping.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a sofa in my office. I nap, like seriously. It's but it's so I mean, there's this amazing book. It's more of a manifesto. Rest is resistance.
Oh,
For
I love that, by Tracy
Yes,
Hershey.
it's
Hershey.
genius,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I
She's a
think
genius. Yeah.
we have such a weird way of thinking about productivity as if we're just,
Yeah.
machines that keep on going forever and ever. And it's ridiculous because we break. People
Yeah.
break, right? We need to
Absolutely.
rest and recharge. It's massively
I
important.
think we're so good at doing something when people break and we talk about it. We don't do anything like
Yeah,
preemptively. It's like prevention's better than cure, but we're often seeking the
yeah,
cure. But I think that's culture, isn't
yes,
it? And coaching is well and good, but actually one of the things that we always talk about, and I always sometimes find myself even having to self-coach around, is where the system and the individual come to play, right?
yes,
Our system's one that's very based on Adam Smith's capitalism, productivity, output,
yes,
generating stuff,
yeah,
value by works, especially if you're an othered person in the system, like you're
totally.
different from the norm or the neurotypical, whatever.
Yep.
So
Putting the hours
you
in.
coach yourself, right? You coach yourself, but you don't exist in a silo, you
Yeah,
exist in a system.
totally.
So how do you navigate that as a coach? Because that's always something that I'm constantly working on myself, as you know.
Yeah, totally. I think for me personally, it's relatively easy because I've built a life now that works beautifully with my brain and I get to
Mm,
dictate my own schedule, right?
mm,
And I think another really important thing that people forget is that you need other activities than just thinking or being in meetings or
mm,
just doing all the cerebral stuff. So I have like paint in my office. So I play with paint during the day to recharge me and do stuff
mm,
like that. Work with my hands, right? Which is just
mm,
a different way of accessing your intuition, accessing your
mm,
kind of inner knowing that people tend to forget
mm.
about. So
Yeah,
that's another often forgotten ingredient because we were just behind the screen all day,
yeah,
either working, producing, meeting, and then rushing
yeah,
off to the next thing, rather than, hey,
yeah,
I'm a human. I have a body. I feel things. What do I want
yeah.
to make? What do I want to create? What energy wants to be expressed through me?
Mm.
And yeah, that's how I manage it, like doing all those things.
I like that. I like that because also it's not just like using your body and doing the basic functions of it, like eating, sleeping. It's
Yeah,
the
no,
resting bit, not just sleeping. It's the resting bit, which is different from sleep. Rest is something
yes,
else.
and
And I think
music
it's really
as well.
interesting as well because you can be dissociated from your body, but it clearly also seems that because if you think a lot, you can like kind of
Yes,
get stuck in your head and intellectualize your emotions, but you don't know what you feel. So
Absolutely.
how do you act on the cues, like you
Yeah, and
say, if you so
even
focus
knowing
on
that
that?
you need to pee. I mean, some people don't even notice, right? No, but listen, it's
Yeah,
that basic. You're just working, working, working. And in that
yeah,
sense, my brain is a complete slave driver. And it's just, it's so crazy curious. If my
yeah.
brain would run the show, I would just be sort of voraciously reading, learning like 24/7 because it's super fun. It's exciting. But I also have a body. I'm a human in a human body. I have emotions, right? All the things. So I need to like intentionally make room for those, whether it's through
How
making
do you keep yourself
music
in
or,
check though, right?
sorry?
Because clearly you love what you do. I know that you love Japanese. You go on these fun tangents of like Lego. How do you build that structure where you just like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm moving on. I got to do this. Like, what systems have you built for
So
yourself?
for me, it's right now it's very intuitive, but that took a while to get there. Right. So I at home I have a piano, and whenever I notice like I'm getting too much into my head, I'll go play the piano if it's not like too late because I do have neighbors. And in the studio, I like right in my where I have my office, I really schedule my day to have lots of breaks in between sessions. And then
Mm,
I can go either read fiction, again, play with paint, build Lego, or nap, or whatever feels right in a moment, go for a walk.
yeah.
But I really use my intuition, like what feels good right now. If this is a completely new concept for
Yeah.
you, then you want to actually start scheduling free time, which I call flexi time, and just put flexi time on your calendar. And whenever it's flexi time, then you want to kind of drop into your body and just like, what do I want to do right now? What feels really good and juicy? Maybe you want, I have like a rainbow hula hoop in my office. So I do like a little hula hoop workout,
Yeah.
whatever
I
it
wish
is.
I was good at hula hoop. I suck at hula hoop.
It's
It's
so fun. I'm
embarrassing.
sure
I
you can
can't keep it up
learn.
bar like
You can
two.
dance. I mean, come on.
Oh, I
Seriously.
love dancing,
Yeah.
and so I'll take that. I
Yeah.
can dance, and I'm addicted to
Yeah.
dancing. But
So that's another
I guess it's
thing.
each person finding whatever thing that helps them drop into their body, and yeah, I guess building that connection so they're intuitive is like long term,
Yes.
and they're in touch with their intuition. Because clearly you're on the journey way further than most people would have, and then listening to this,
Yeah.
they're like, how do I start doing that?
And
So they build some flexi time in their calendar, drop into themselves, ask themselves what they want to do that feels juicy and fun.
yes.
And over time, I guess that becomes more
Yeah,
natural
it
for
becomes more of
them.
a habit, right? You're building the habit.
Mm.
And I think don't make this another chore, right? Make this
Mm.
something that's the autistic thing you want to like schedule
Yeah.
it, like get it right, put it in an Excel sheet. Do this in a way like be a bit loose about it and really also have fun. This gets to be juicy. You get to do things you enjoy, right? So
Mm.
don't sort of fret about, oh, am I doing the right thing? Am I optimizing? In fact, I have a whole podcast about optimizing for the wrong things, right? Because smart people
Yeah.
are constantly optimizing for every fucking thing. And they forget about themselves and having joy and fun and feeling good.
Yeah. I guess that's society though. I don't like we always talk about purpose, and I'm going to talk about purpose when it comes to coaching because we talk about purpose a lot and people are
Yes.
trying to find their purpose, right?
Yeah.
But you often talk about juiciness, joy, and fun.
Yeah.
And that I never hear those three things
Oh, it's
in any
awful.
conversation
It's like,
about purpose.
listen,
Even loads of coaching conversations people have, it's always about performance,
yes.
KPI.
Peak
But like,
performance, right?
yeah,
Let's
yes,
climb the
exactly.
mountain.
Always.
I think,
How do I be the best all the
yeah,
time, forever and ever? Like, you don't oscillate. Like, you're different each day. Like, there's no sense in that. We want to be rigid and the
exactly.
same.
And it's so inhumane, right? I mean, what is peak performance even? What
Ooh.
does that even mean?
Oh,
Seriously,
good question.
right? And
What is
and
peak
what is a
performance?
life where you're constantly rushing, hustling, pushing yourself,
Yeah.
and feeling like shit, or not seeing your loved
Yeah.
ones, or never getting to travel, or like having your feet in the sand, or walking
Mm.
beside the beach, just getting stuck behind a computer like 24/7? Nobody wants that. Come on,
Yeah.
right? So
That's
peak performance
like that's
in
what they find
context.
fun. Maybe.
I mean, if you do, by all means, go do it. But peak performance always in context,
Yeah. Peak
right?
performance in
Yeah,
context.
100%.
the context of the individual as well. Because like
Yes,
that's what I love about coaching, and that's what I love about this work that we do, and like we talk about it a lot. Is that a great life for one person doesn't like a great life for another person,
exactly,
and it's like you can just never like you can never be in competition with anyone else because no one wants the same things.
exactly.
You
And
know, like my day of a good day and your day of a good day. So I feel like they're quite similar because
yeah,
we like
for
the
us,
same.
they're quite similar.
But
But most
but
people would be
the
like,
norm,
what?
normally they wouldn't be so similar with anyone else, would they? Because we just don't have that much in common with everyone.
Exactly. So for some
That's
people,
really
a good
interesting.
day is like going to a party or going out and being very social, maybe giving a presentation, then having another 5 meetings, etc., etc. And for me, it's the complete opposite, and that's totally okay. Yeah.
I guess it's being okay with whatever you are. But
Yes.
how do you get people who aren't okay with where they are? Because obviously, like everyone's at different stages in their journey, right? And when you start on a journey and you maybe embark on coaching, self-development, maybe you aren't okay with what you are and
Yeah.
kind of like feeling a lot of shame around what you
Yes.
are, especially when you talk about people who've just newly been diagnosed, for
Hundred
example.
percent. So where you want to
What
start is with all the internal shoulds. So a lot of people who are new to coaching have a shit ton of internalized shoulds from the people around them, teachers, etc. When they were growing up. Same with like if you have ADHD or ADD, you've probably been told, why can't you just sit still? Or if only you'd get your act together, right? And really apply yourself. I mean, come on. And all these voices have been internalized. And people really think this is true. Whereas they need to uncover that first. Like, those are other people's stories about my neurodivergent behavior, which they have judged as being, kind of falling short of a standard, which is completely ridiculous. So who am I and what am I capable of? When I let go of all those voices and all those stories and what feels good to me and what is a good environment for me to be my best self. And how do we
Oh,
build
I love
that?
that. I love that. I always talk about people, places, and like sometimes you can't be your best self with certain people or in certain places, and it's about
100%.
sometimes moving that so that it's taking more awareness that actually the shoulds exist because of this, and
Yeah,
to me to be my best self, actually, this people, this place, this space, whatever, it cannot happen any longer, and like
100%.
reframing it. No more shoulds. I hate that word, shoulds.
Okay, again, podcast episode, right? The one dirty word you should never use again, I think.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did an
but I
entire
remember
episode on that. That is should.
it's
Yeah. Yes.
horrible. Because also, even if you were doing something that you kind of want to do, for example, to create some great things in the world, there's some tasks you have to do, like to be excellent, anything to master, anything like I don't know. Usain Bolt claims X, Y, Z at her mount to win all the things
Yeah.
he's won, right? But I doubt he talks about the should of it. I think he talks about the love of it. I'm sure
Well,
that's
and
what
that's the other
changes the
thing, right?
attitude to it,
When
right?
you talk about peak performance and big goals, et cetera, so many people think their big goal should be a specific thing. Whether,
Mm,
they should become a doctor, a professor. I don't know, maybe some people even think they should become a merchant banker. Whatever it is, they
yeah,
never stop to think like, okay, but what do I really want when I let go of
yeah,
all the shoulds, all the status that I think, I should be striving after. And that doesn't mean that you can't go after status, but only if that is what turns you on, right? If you're like,
yeah,
the Lambo, right? Okay, go for it. And
yeah,
if you're like, I have like cars mean nothing to me, so I have this old Volvo which I love to death. So for me,
yeah,
that would never be a driver and
yeah.
never a goal. And it needs to totally turn you on. And if
Mm,
not, then there's a should or many shoulds.
yeah. And it's not your goal. You've
Yeah,
informed that goal.
exactly. Yeah.
It's always good to know what your goal is. I really like that. I was actually thinking about my goals, the real goals, and I've decided my real goal in life is to have a dog. And when I have a dog, I'll know I've made it in life.
There
I will know
we
I've
go.
made it in life. I've hit a trifecta. That's like ultimate success to me. And which is quite
Amazing.
funny.
Yeah.
It's about finding what that is for you, right? And what life looks like.
Yes, and also accepting that it could be totally different in 3 years' time.
That's true. I might not want a dog in 3 years' time.
Seriously,
I
I mean,
doubt that.
especially if you're smart, right? Things change very quickly. You evolve, you learn
Mm.
new things. Maybe like I am very happy where I am right now. And who knows where I'm going to be in 3 years' time. So I think also accepting that, yes, of course, it's important to have that sort of dot on the horizon. but also
Mm,
being okay with that shifting. And as you evolve and learn more about yourself and the world and other people, you meet amazing people maybe to collaborate with.
mm,
You have no idea what
mm.
that's going to look like. And if you treat that as more of an amazing adventure and you're open to fun surprises, then you have a
Yeah,
much better time.
that sounds good. Because actually, I think it's the rigidity that I often think there's so, it always goes hand in hand, especially if you're autistic. I know
Yeah.
ADHD is slightly different, or if you've got ADHD and autism, completely manifests differently,
Yes,
completely, like exactly. Almost, I feel like you've got conflict in your
totally.
brain, and that is just constant challenging of two divergent needs, and they don't quite come
Yep.
together. They're not complementary as such. But that's quite good because you almost need something to aim at, clearly. I think we
Yes.
humans do, we're aiming creatures, but you need to be flexible because every day, I mean, this was a random thing we decided to do,
Yeah.
right? But you need to go with the flow to some degree,
So
which is,
fun.
yeah, more fun, right?
Yes.
This is fun.
And
But,
that's,
we have to talk about your membership because
oh, yeah.
obviously we've talked about this a lot. The fact that a lot of like, neurodivergent smart people don't have other smart people or community to talk about
Yeah,
or to be connected
exactly.
with. I'm guessing, am I foreshadowing what this is? Is that
Totally.
what the membership
This is
is?
exactly
I can
why
say
I've
that
built
one.
this. 10 out of 10. You're the perfect student.
You know I love perfect student syndrome. You can give me gold stickers. Don't even do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, give me a
we are.
sticker.
Lots of stickers for you. There's got to be like a filter for that, but I don't know how to use it.
I can
But this is
learn that
exactly why I
next
built
time.
this, right? Because
Yeah.
so many smart people are pretty isolated and they don't
Mm,
have enough other fast-brained humans around them, so they feel lonely. They also feel super weird, and also their needs and desires. So, like, is it legit for me to want this? Especially if
mm,
also with neurodiversity. So I was like, okay, we need to get a group of super smart people together who want to create amazing things over the next year. They want to either have a personal transformation or build something, write a book, create a product, et cetera, et cetera. And they want to do it in community, right? And
mm,
feel validated, but also be with people who move at the same speed they
mm.
do. Yeah. So that's what I'm
That's so
creating. Yeah,
cool.
it is super cool. It's
I
so
love
fun.
that.
And it's such a joy to build it in a way that works with their smart brains, right? Because of course I've been in so many groups and communities and memberships and masterminds where I was like, hmm, okay, this is a bit slow, or wow,
Yeah.
500 hours of video. I don't think this is like a good idea for me. Like,
No.
I can't even sit still for 5 minutes of video. So, it is really built for people with these brains, and that has been such a joy for me to create. Yeah.
That's really cool. I've always been like talking to you about how important it is to have a space where you feel normal to some
Yes,
degree, because out in the world you're not really that normal. But
exactly.
you're with your own tribe. And I think that biased action, for example, you have an idea and you almost execute like in the next breath. That
100%.
to other people seems chaotic. But I think
Exactly,
we
right?
think,
And also like the level of ambition, like,
yeah.
and the level of expectation you have for yourself. Other people, like
Mm.
I know so many people are like, seriously, can't you ever slow down? Do you really need to do all these things? I'm like,
Yes.
this is my idea of a
Cool.
good time. Right? So to
It
be in
is
a group
that,
of people
isn't it?
who are crazy ambitious and who do want to change the world, right? And they, of course, have different opinions on how to do that, which is even more fun.
Mm.
Yeah. So we're
Because
going to
then you get to like
mastermind.
cross-pollinate
Yes,
yourselves with different ideas, different
bounce
thinking, and
ideas.
who knows, you kind of gestate from that mixed matches stuff. I like that. I'm so
100%.
excited about this.
100%.
To be part of it. No, I think it's so cool. I'm so glad that we're going to have a chat today because I
Same.
really wanted to talk about everything coaching and neurodiversity and kind of other people who may be keen to get coaching or other neurodivergent people who are struggling on their journey. Just
Yes.
have a bit of an open chat.
And first of all,
This is
like
what it
for
looks
all
like.
those people, just stop thinking there's something wrong with you. I think that is the most important thing. And get curious, like, who am I even? And what do I need? What do I want? What do I like? Instead of how am I broken? Right? Which is what you've probably heard for
Yeah.
most of your life. Yeah, just no, you're not broken. You're just getting to know you from a very different perspective, assuming that you're perfect as you are.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely, isn't it? I think I wish everyone in the world felt that way, that they were perfect as they were. And just curiosity about what would make themselves able to thrive and what thriving
Exactly.
looks like. For
Exactly.
example, Friday, you and I involves libraries and books.
Yes.
And also dogs.
Yeah.
I like dogs.
Yeah.
But like I know you don't like dogs
No,
so much, but
I've been actually attacked by a rabid dog, so I have like
I heard in the podcast
yes,
how that gave you kind of like a
I'm not
real
a
fear and you
fan.
got through that. That's like scary, to be fair.
Yes.
I have a scar on my back from when a dog bit me as a kid, and I know exactly what that felt like. But then I had the most amazing science technician at school, and she had a dog called Bobby, and she let me hang out with her all the
Oh,
time. And I didn't have much friends at school, so I hung out a lot with Bobby and her, and obviously Caroline, and that's how I got off of my favorite dogs. So
there we are.
I understand the fear. I
Yeah,
understand the fear. But that's why it's so cool when you start finding people that are like you and create that safe space. And then who knows
exactly.
what's possible.
Exactly. We
I
get
quite
to
like that.
play, create, and that's the other thing I think many smart and especially neurodivergent people are not held back by any like sense of reality. Right? They're just like, oh, what if it was possible? Why don't we just
Yeah.
try? Right? Where other
Yeah.
people would be like, but that's never going to work. And you're like, well, maybe it isn't. But hey, if we don't try, we're
Yeah,
never
we,
gonna
we
find
won't
out.
do it.
Yeah.
But I think that's where the community comes in. I want to stress that again and again because I think that's a critical thing. Because when I find I hang out with people who are just maybe more skewed to action and
Yeah.
optimism, maybe a little bit more like me, I can create amazing
Yes.
things. When I hang out with anyone who's like, it's your
Yeah.
critique, I can't
Yeah.
do it. I always feel like everything in the world's terrible. My whole perspective skews.
Yes.
I'm like, the world is going to end tomorrow and it's all over.
Yeah, why even bother? I mean,
Yeah,
just stay in
and
bed under the duvet, right? Yeah. Yeah.
it's like apathy, nihilism, all the bad feelings.
Yes. Yeah.
You always
So,
have to really figure that out for yourself. Like we're different people. I think we're very sensitive
yeah.
in some ways.
I think
And
we
maybe
really
that's
pick up the energies as
I think
well. Yeah.
we have to be much more curated in who's around us so that we can be our best selves. Not only just figuring out what that looks like. I think, that wheel of life exercise where you map yourself across your whole life. Where's the ideal? Where are you at? What do you want to
Yep.
do? But actually, like, you also can be there.
Yeah. And
That is such a big influence.
really, people who totally energize you are such a joy, and everybody deserves to have those in their life,
Mm.
right? Being with other humans shouldn't be an exhausting struggle. It should be a fucking delight. And this is nothing, I mean, I hate those coaches who say just, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with and get rid of all the people who drain you. That is just so nasty, right? You can still spend time with people you love, even if they don't like energize you at that level, but just make sure you do have like the people who make you feel
Mm.
amazing. Have
Yeah.
your own like brain trust or mastermind or just band of friends, whatever you want to call it, but people you're just,
Mm.
I can't wait to hang out with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. That's kind of the
Yeah.
thing, isn't it? And if it balances out the less energetic part, it's like building your calendar, right?
Yes.
Not every activity you get to do is top energy, right? You got to
Exactly.
do some low energy
Listen,
stuff.
I have to do my
Right?
taxes,
That's like life.
sadly. Yeah. There's always going to be things in your life that are going to exhaust you. Of
Mm.
course, it's fun if you can delegate them. I do try to delegate as much as I can, or just ignore what I can ignore. Just like, basically picking my battles. Some stuff maybe I
Yeah.
don't even need to do, and I'm willing to pay the penalty. But yeah, some stuff is hard. You still have to do it. That's okay. You do it. Take a nap. Next.
Rest after. But then you were in a podcast with Maisie, right?
Yes.
Maisie Hill.
Yes.
And she talked about it, like, is it her director of operations or CEO she got? And she just got her to do everything that didn't suit her. She's like, you know what? I am great at this. This is where my value add is.
Exactly.
Everything else, here you go.
It's
And maybe
perfect,
we
right?
all have to try and do that for ourselves.
Yes.
Maybe
She's
we're not
like
all CEOs,
she knows
but maybe we
exactly
can
her
find a way of doing
strengths
it.
and
Yes.
all the other stuff she outsources, which is the
Yeah.
best thing.
I think
Also,
we should all do that to
we
some degree,
totally
if we
should.
can, because you should live in our strengths. Because
Yes.
I'm sure, like Maisie's director of operations is working in her strength. That's why she's
Exactly.
so
And
good at what
loving
she
every
does.
minute of it, right? Yes.
Exactly. And instead of you doing it, taking you like 10 times the time,
Well,
10 times the
and listen, that's
exhaustion.
the other problem with smart people. Like many smart people think, if I'm capable of doing this, I should be doing this. Again, I should, right?
Mm.
No, not at all. I could do, like, I used to build databases. I am no longer building databases, right? Like this, that is not what I want to be doing. So this is why people think, oh well, I can do this thing. Why not do it? Why
Mm.
should I outsource it to someone else? Well, because there's something that will be much better for you to do instead. That will energize you. That will give you a higher value, right return on your time. So
Mm.
stop doing those things just because you can, and make someone else happy. Give them a job, right?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Delegate. Use
Yes.
people around you. And maybe that's why this is why it's valuable to have people with slightly different brains for
Yeah.
you, right? Around you. Because it's so easy to be like, only people with exactly
Yeah.
my
No,
brain. But
that's,
actually
oh my
find
God.
people with complementary brains or who have skills that just you don't have
Yeah,
and just work with them and they do the thing they're good at and you do the thing you're good at and you're always like able to just do so much more and
totally.
collaborate to create something incredible.
Exactly this. I mean, it would be horrible to have someone like me next to me in my business. It would be a complete nightmare, right? I need people to complement me, not people like me, because I need people with other strengths so I can play to my own strengths.
I love that. I feel like we should have captured like little quotes from this whole conversation. I might have to list it back
We
and get some quotes from it. There's
can.
some just absolute bangers in terms of quotes and just bits of information that's so transformative when you hear them. It's why you're such a good coach. Ask the right questions, say the right thing. It's
See,
powerful.
it's philosophy.
I see. I know where I was going. I should have done engineering. I should have done philosophy.
Yeah. What the hell? So good. Anything else you want
But
to
oh my
ask me,
god,
or do you think we're like good to go?
I think we covered a lot. The only thing I'll ask is the question that I really like to ask anyone is if I could ask you any question, what question would you like me to have asked you that I haven't asked you? I stole that from someone. I think it's a great question.
I think what is the one thing that if people started doing it differently would change the world? I mean, and I have to think about the answer.
That's a big
That is a
question.
big question. And okay, but I think what I'm feeling is like, and the feeling is very on point, if people would actually start feeling their emotions instead of pushing them away, we would live in a
Mm,
very different world.
mm. I want you to tell me more about that. I feel like we can't end it
Okay,
there. Like,
so listen, pushing emotions away, first of all, it's not very good for your health. It also means basically you're telling yourself what I am feeling is not okay. I am not
mm,
okay as a human being.
mm,
It causes you a lot of stress because you constantly need to work to keep them at bay. And
yeah,
emotions are just energy. You can just sit there and feel them and allow them. But we have this whole culture of, if someone is upset,
yeah,
we instantly want to fix it. Oh,
yeah.
don't cry, it's okay, right? Whether it's with kids,
Oh,
with colleagues, or someone's angry or frustrated, oh, come on, relax, or let it go. Like, no, they're
mm,
just having an emotion. And instead of like
yeah.
trying to sweep it all under the carpet, we just learn to feel them, which will take maybe 30 seconds, maybe a couple of minutes, and then it is actually gone. Then
Mm,
I think we would see a lot of less violence, less burnout, less frustration.
mm.
It's
I think
just
people would live
energy.
entirely different lives, though, wouldn't
Yes,
they? Because I always
100%.
think emotions are like, I think I call them indicators. I think I do a little video on Wednesday Weekly Wisdom where I talk about emotions being bioindicators. For example, anger always tells me my boundaries have been breached. When
Exactly.
I'm angry, no, we're gonna have one.
Yeah,
But obviously, if you don't feel that, then your boundary can be breached repeatedly. And that
totally.
can be good for business, an employer that wants to get a million hours out of you, a system that wants to exploit you. Like,
100%.
that
And you just
works
keep
for some
taking
of the
it and
time.
taking it and taking it until
Yeah,
something snaps.
until something snaps, and then we have those huge newsworthy stories of someone actually doing something that we think is out of the blue, but was it
It
out of the
isn't,
blue?
right? Yeah. And also
But
just,
maybe the society thrives on it to
yeah.
some degree. It's built in that way.
Yeah, and we need to learn that it's safe. We need to also teach children it's actually safe to feel an emotion, so you don't act on it. So you can actually feel anger and even use it. It's amazing energy. It's like fire in your body,
It's productive
right? If you
energy.
can learn to channel it into something else, right? So it's okay to feel the emotion. Just don't
Mm.
go shooting people, right? or hurting
That's
them.
what I was trying to say, but not say. You know, the news articles that you see,
Yeah,
there's two boys who, Columbine massacre, wasn't it really? And you read their manifesto and you can see the
yes,
rage in that, but you can see that they actually just were able to work through their emotions at any one point,
yeah,
that we might have had a different
yeah,
outcome. And maybe that is,
100%.
you're right, maybe that is the fundamental thing that will transform our
I think
society.
we should teach
Wow.
this in school,
I
like
think it should be
emotional
in school,
agility.
actually.
Yeah,
I think so, for sure. I think it has to be in school because I think a lot of parents may not have the skill to
exactly.
teach,
Yeah.
you know.
And they're also
So I
like,
think
as a
someone is an
parent,
expert needs to come in and teach that.
if you want to be a great parent, also allow your children to have emotions instead of
Mm,
like, oh, don't, especially if they get upset in public. It's very hard for parents to
mm,
just be with a child that has an emotion.
yeah,
But just say, hey, I notice you're crying. Do you want a hug? And so don't cry. It's a
yeah.
massive difference.
Massive difference. I think we were talking about this, Gary Chapman and Living with Emotionally Immature Parents. Those books are a great starting points
Yep,
in terms to
100%.
understand emotional agility for yourself, for potential future parents. And they're great parenting courses,
I
actually. I
think
feel like
so.
that should be a prerequisite for
Yeah.
people these days. But I don't know if that sounds too much like a tutorial, like you must do this course before you're
Nope.
allowed to procreate.
Nope.
You know where that thought
Yeah,
goes.
no, we're not going to go down that road.
We better have Margaret Atwood to know that's never a good thing. But it's something that definitely needs to
Yeah.
be improved in our society. And I think that's a perfect final question to ask yourself and actually a very clear action that could have such a tangible input and output. And
Yeah.
it's so actually infinitesimally small a change that we have to make. Just putting that into some time in primary school curriculum.
Totally.
Something so small,
And I think
but
if you
something
want
that makes
to
change
apply it to
society.
yourself, I think it was Tara Brock that told me this question. And that's to ask yourself the question, what is it that I'm not willing to feel?
Mm.
Such a great question to ask.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's been amazing. See, I think I'm so glad I asked that question. We got to
Right?
discuss that because that's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's absolutely
That's how
brilliant.
we're going to change the world. For now, anyway.
Absolutely. I think there are lots of other things, but I think the reason why I'm so excited about that answer is because it changes systems.
Yes.
And I think when we coach and we get coached, we're trying to change ourselves to work in a system or to create enough safety, like the buffer you have, because you created a whole business that works around your
Yeah.
brain. Many people won't have the ability to do that. Or maybe they will, but I think the vast portion aren't going to be all entrepreneurs and build a
And
whole
listen,
life
it
that
took
works
me a lot
exactly
of
for that.
years, right? Let's be clear. It
Oh no,
takes a
not
while.
diminishing the
Yeah, no, but I mean
but it
also the
might not be
privilege
an
of
outcome
being
we can
able
get
to
to.
work from that position that I have right
Yeah,
now, right? That was years in the making. And
yeah,
if you're stuck in a system right now that isn't friendly to your brain,
yeah.
it may take time to change that, but you can definitely change it.
But when you're in the process of changing your life, if we're also as a society moving to this emotional
Yes.
intelligence, I think the systems itself will change. Some of the things we talk about, like racism, misogyny, the dislike of people who are neurodivergent or people who are different from us, the otherness that we have as just the status quo,
Yeah.
will
Yes.
transcend that. And in transcending that, the other work almost meets nicely in the middle. We all do our individual work, but the system itself
Yeah, there's going to
also
be a massive
evolves.
ripple effect.
I think
100%.
so.
Yeah.
I would have thought the one thing that changes the world, emotional agility and intelligence. I
There we
think we solved the world's
go.
problems then. And it's on Sunday.
On a Sunday afternoon. Amazing.
I know. I think Sundays can be so productive.
So good. All right.
Thank you so
You're so
much for joining me. I've
welcome.
really enjoyed our chat. This is
Same.
great.
All
And I'll
right.
see you on Monday.
Yes. See you tomorrow. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Thank you. Happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for joining. And I'll put this online so everyone can rewatch it when they want.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye, Coach Kramer.
Bye. Coach Kramer out.
I love that.